Well, it's a beautiful evening here in Colorado, and I'm just watching this incredible sunset. It's the first evening that we've had without a lot of rain in many, many, many days. And it's beautiful here. Normally, it's not this green and it's not this fabulous. And tonight happens to be spectacular. What that makes me think about is gratitude. Gratitude in all of the beauty that we have here in the United States and all of the wonderful things that are a part of our lives. We happen to live in one of the best countries in the world, and there's more opportunity here than pretty much anywhere in the world. The opportunities are for each and every person to be able to live a great life, and also for businesses to be able to thrive. The businesses in our country are incredible, and I just love to watch small business owners work day in and day out, doing what they love and providing amazing services for all different kinds of people. So recently I've been working with a family, and they're just very interesting because they have a couple of kids who are inheritors of some family wealth. And these two kids, who are in their 40s, are not speaking with each other. They've got some family history that has been a little bit challenging for them, and they're just not connected. It's interesting to see the parents work with those kids in order to keep the family whole and healthy. They support the two kids not speaking to each other. And I know that the two kids are adults and make choices of their own. And I think that it's important as a family to support that. However, if you think about the asset transition as a business transition, and you work from the perspective of potentially not having to be the best brother and sister and go to Christmas and do those kinds of things together, but to potentially create a foundation which may bleed back over into the family sometime, because as they grow older, as we all grow older, we change and we modify, and we learn new behaviors and new ways to do things. So if you think about the children potentially working together in a business environment where there's great business structure, everybody understands how it works, there's a win-win-win all the way around. So potentially the assets stay together, potentially the kids at some point in time are able to work together, potentially even their children are able to work in the business, which would be amazing, because it's quite a large business. It has the opportunity for many people to engage in it if they so choose. That would be an idea of how they might be able to start to work together. Even though they have all this past history, a new working relationship is different than a brother-sister relationship. The parents are they're so concerned. They're actually so concerned and controlling in a way that they aren't allowing that opportunity to even surface. So there's no invitation whatsoever to have the kids come in, these 30, 40-year-olds come in and potentially get involved in their parents' business and actually understand how it works. So that invitation's not going out, and the reason why it's not going out is because the parents are afraid that it'll be a complete disaster. Now, they could be right. However, by not even approaching it at all, not even having the discussion, not even putting the invitation out there, there's absolutely no chance that that could be a possibility. So sometimes I think that we have behaviors that protect, and that's just one example. We all have them. We have behaviors that protect so that we don't hurt someone, or we don't put ourselves in a position where we might have to have some kind of a conflict. And in doing so, what basically happens is we support and enable the behavior that we're seeing. We just say, oh, that's how they are. That's how it works. That's just the way that it is. And that could be true. Many times, though, with some work and a different strategic approach, also different words and different conversations, sometimes you unlock the door a little bit or crack that window a little, that lets a little newness come through, and all of a sudden there's a little bit of movement where before there wasn't. So I like the idea of asking yourself, oh, is it true? Is that really just the way it is? Is that really just the way they are? Is that really the way that you want it to be in the future? Or is there a journey that might be started? It might take 2, 3, 4 years or more. I've had some of them take up to 8 years, which is pretty incredible, to where you might transform and rekindle some of those great relationships that you always wanted within a family and your family business. Just a thought for you. Is it true? I happened to be on a call the other day, and it was with a family and 2 successors. One of the successors is the leader, and one of them is just right behind this managing partner. The 2 boys, when we started, they're in their 30s. 2 boys, when we started, they didn't really understand how to be business partners. And over the last year and a half, we worked on that and have made a lot of progress. They're doing so well working together. We were chatting, though, and this is just an interesting thing about mindsets. There's some issues and some conflict that were happening at the time and in this conversation. And it was very interesting because you have to watch your tone of voice and what you say and how you say it. So conversation was about the business and about the transition. And the son basically said something about when the transition might happen and potentially a promise of when that might happen, and that he wondered what was going on. And it was a very good question. It was a very curious question. And the issue was, though, in the way that he said it. The tone of voice and the body language was not curious. It was not curious at all. And so when we were on the meeting, I just said, asked the son, how do you think that came off to everybody else in this meeting? And he said, I don't know. And I said, I think maybe you do. Just take a little stab. How do you think it came off? And he thought about it for a minute, and he said, frustrated. And his father looked at him and said, it came off entitled. Frustrated, entitled. 2 different perceptions or perspectives of the same thing. So when you're in these transition conversations, I think it's real important for people to remember there are 3 rules, right? There are 3 rules to engage with. The very first rule is best of intent. Best of intent helps you to have curiosity, and curiosity is so important when you're walking through things that are a little unstable. When you're running a business and everything's going the way that you think it should, right? There's still some unstableness in the business. As soon as you start into the transition piece, there's instability in the role. You're no longer making decisions. Your other person, your successor, is making those decisions. And in that instability, there's usually many, many, many opportunities for people to perceive something a little bit different than maybe it's intended. So best of intent is the first rule of engagement. Honest and not accusatory is the second. And playful is the third. So anyway, the cool thing was in this example, and then what happened is they were able to see the other side, and it really softened then the conversation, and we got back to working on what was important for this transition that no longer was there. So when you're walking through a transition, just remember to consider best of intent. Pay attention to how you're feeling and how you're walking into these conversations. It's very important.